will overflow. Volcanoes will erupt when the forces of good and evil collide. As Hercules, champion of the gods, fulfills his destiny on earth, across the heavens, and in hell, the incredible Lou Ferrigno is the incredible Hercules, the strongest man on earth. Rated PG.
Now playing at selected theaters and drive-ins. Check newspapers.
Hey, baby. These lips have been to places that aren't even on the map.
Explorer, I want to meet you.
You're wild, aren't you? I like that.
Who are you?
Well, you got the party line, sweetheart.
976.
976.
It's all over the place.
Party line.
It's the new way to get together.
Some call for a fun time.
I'm here, baby.
Some call for a hot time.
You name it, I like it.
Some call for the last time.
I swear to God, I had no idea that she was married. You didn't say you were married.
Say you're sorry.
Party line. Some talk. Some listen. Some die.
I called at a desperate time. 976 CHAT. Welcome back to the Drive-In Asylum double feature. And Blood Beach just gets better every time I see it. I have to admit.
We had a lot of questions that we think we may have answered, or at least added more questions as we watched it.
Mostly I want to know if the monster, there's some sort of illusion. Sam, you had an interesting fan theory about Blood Beach. For some reason, I latched onto this theory that the monster used to be human because there's some sort of like suggestion that the monster slayer had been inhabited by a human being at some point. I think there's newspaper articles hanging up or something. And you came up with the idea that maybe the Ruth Buzzy-esque bag lady was the creature's mother.
Yeah, that's why she didn't save anybody when she saw them going. And she kind of almost, if you think about it, maybe led people to the thing. And she was just like a casual observer of the goings on. Who's the lady that's watching it in the windows in the beginning, like when the first person gets killed?
It's her.
It's her. That's what I thought. Yeah. So like, that's totally why I think it's her. Like she's just there and like, you know, observing her twisted offspring. Whoa.
She's not a very nice person.
She's not. So that's what I think. And I'll stick to my theory. Of a monster that leaves eyeballs behind. Lucio Fulci would be enraged. He'd be like, oh, waste not, want not. Why are you leaving the eyeballs? They've seen so much.
It wasn't Prince's mother in this movie. It was Laurie Strode's mother. Or no, Laurie Strode's mother from Halloween 2 was in Blood Beach. It was not the eyeball victim, though. It was the woman who was in the police station describing her husband with Burt Young. And she was like, well, he was wearing aquamarine. And he had this fashion on, not last year's fashion. You know how last year's fashion had the big shoulders? And she kept going into all this detail, and he was just like, mm-hmm.
She was doing it. She had her coach there too, and her coach was like, "It would be great if you just did maybe a little thing. You got your character across. Like maybe you talk about shoulder pads, and that's a good thing to talk through." And she's like, "That's great." And they workshopped it in the trailer. She came out and did it, and they're like, "Yeah, whatever, you did it."
Burt Young's not my type.
No, he's a little emaciated. He needs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, every character that Burt Young ever played was despicable. And
well, Amityville 2 is the most despicable. Poor Retina, poor entire family.
Poor Tanya Alda, yeah.
Also, like at the end, this is why I feel like this movie belongs more of the 70s and the 80s. Is the end. The credits play over people trying to enjoy the beach, and then just gradual pulls of another blood beach monster getting ready to take them, and that child just disappears, or that girl's a really bad parent, and the kid ran away. It's up to you, but I think that we all know what happened. And you know what? bring a towel to the beach. If I learned anything from this, because it's harder for the monster to get you if you're sitting on a towel versus if you're just sitting on the sand, it can make those little swirlies and come up and get you.
Towels seem to confuse it, but yeah, I think the implication is that the mad scientist guy, he looked like science.
Yeah.
He warned them if they blew it up, they could spread it all over the place because it could regenerate itself, and that's exactly what happened. And now they had like, you know, potentially thousands of blood beach monsters right there, all in the same area, competing for food. That place is going to be a ghost town within a couple of weeks.
It's pretty wild because it's kind of like a hangout movie. There's like a lot of people just hanging, and like you said, there are a lot of adults, and you're getting to know them, and they're reason to on stray for a living. And then meanwhile, there's a blood beast, or not blood beast, but a blood beach creature. I agree.
Beast?
Yeah, blood beach. I can't say that. Don't make me say that. But yeah, I agree. Yeah, it just feels like. But I both want to go to the beach and don't want to go to the beach after seeing this. Like, I think if I knew I was going to the beach tomorrow, I would not feel comfortable going to the beach after seeing this. I would think the whole time about, I would be looking for those little swirls happen, and I'd be like, we got it. We can't do this.
Well, yeah, don't forget the people in this movie kept going to the beach, even though they knew for a fact that people were disappearing there. And for some reason, the authorities didn't keep them off the beach.
They had a way worse mayor than Amity. You know what I mean? In Amity, it was like, we're going to stop this. And there was just one shark. By the end, there's untold numbers of these creatures. And they're just like, you know what? They're really doing well this year for the beach. There's a lot of people on the beach. And a child disappeared right in front. At least one person on that beach had to be looking at that kid when he went, zoop. Nobody was watching.
I don't know. I kind of bought that because I've been to the beach, and everybody's attention seems to be on all that open space out there, or they're looking. It's hard for me to be aware of my surroundings at the beach. I kind of like. I get a little overwhelmed by all the sunshine, and how hot it usually is there, and so this creature it's got its game down pat. It knows how to get in there and get out.
Yeah. But Chris brought Marion Hill looked really nice here. She did. Her hair was tamed by comparison. The advent of better hair care products as the 20th century went on helped her with her hair. I also liked her kind of sporty ensemble in the one scene with the number 1 on it. That was cool.
I think that was supposed to be David Huffman's character's shirt, but I could be wrong about that.
Nice.
So, they were getting back together. Like, she left her husband, and his significant other got sucked under the sand by a giant Venus flytrap.
Yeah. Interesting.
They were meant to be together.
They were. Yeah, so I still think the old lady had like a mutant baby, and that's what drove her nuts. And she's like, well, I have to be a bag person now, or a shopping cart person. And but I need to be around my whatever it is, child of some sort.
It never got her, so it must have known that was its mother.
Yeah. Also, if you go up the coast a couple miles, there's a really nice beach called Point Doom, and I would say you should check that out too. Just depending on the season, there's a certain holiday that a lot of people come for. Maybe you want to avoid that weekend. Yeah, or Liberty Day. Yeah, go there for Liberty Day, Becca said. That's another good time to go there. And if
only Tentacles had started a thing, we could have had another national holiday other than July 4th, Liberty Day.
I think we should have it next year. We should do like June, pick like a random day in June and be like, it's Liberty Day, and we show Tentacles.
It's in August, though.
Well, then August is coming. We can still do it. Everybody's going to dress up like Uncle Sam for that episode, and you'll be sitting in your house, and your whole family will be like, why are you dressed like Uncle Sam? Or an octopus, your call. Or Shelley Winters. Or an octopus, Shelley Winters. So either way, these are the outfit choices. And you celebrate it by just screaming as your child runs away.
The octopus in Tentacles has properties that other octopi or octopuses, however you want to say it, don't have, like the ability to roar underwater.
Yep.
It seems to have some kind of skeletal structure, because there was a moment when it lifts Vicky Dawson out of the Delia Picardo, I think is the actress's name. It lifts her out of the water somehow. It's in the water, and it lifts its arms with her in them above the water.
My
So
favorite part of the movie is when
it's
Shelley
different.
Winters thinks her son is gone, and the other lady's like commiserating with her, and she's like, "No, no, your son's gone," and she's like, and just like walks away from that lady.
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, but my
Yeah.
son's not gone."
Yeah, and then she's like, "We got to get out of here."
That's
So,
like the last time we see her in the movie. Her story is over.
she's at her kid's fine. She's like, "I'm going back home." Traffic. She gets home. She tells her husband, "Traffic was a nightmare."
It was her fault too, because she gave them those walkie-talkies, and the walkie-talkies ended up being the reason the octopus wrecked the regatta.
Yeah, I mean, we used to have a regatta in Pittsburgh, and I dare say perhaps it was canceled for worry about tentacles. Someone saw it and was like, "I don't know if we can do this anymore." Also, I also believe the sinkhole in Pittsburgh related to Blood Beach, the sinkhole that claimed a bus 2 years ago. So that's my theory. You don't live in Pittsburgh, you don't know about the sinkhole, but the sinkhole was pretty wild.
It was big news. Wasn't that during COVID, or was it before
Right
COVID?
at the start, I think it's when the gateway to hell got cracked open. And the bus got
COVID came out of that hole.
Yeah, probably. COVID bat came out, and yeah, and that's kind of how it happened. Sorry that you had to learn it on an internet show about horror movies, but you know the information gets leaked out in very strange ways.
Right.
So,
Tomorrow it'll be true.
It could be. I mean, you heard it here first. But yeah, it's weird that Blood Beach hasn't been remade in a way. I know it wasn't the most successful movies, but it feels like sci-fi or somebody would have made it. Do you know what I mean? It feels like a movie that could be built onto and made again.
Well, Tremors could be considered an extrapolation of Blood Beach.
It is. And they made 8 of those, so including Shrieker Island that came out last year. Tremors. They just after a while, you can tell they've made a lot of sequels when they stop putting a number on it, because they're like, you know, I've seen 6 of the Tremor movies, but if I haven't seen 7, should I see Shrieker Island? Yes, you can. Yeah, I mean, why not Blood Beach versus Sharknado? I mean, God damn it, I watched Anaconda versus Lake Placid, and man, I didn't think, you know, could those Lake Placid or Anaconda sequels get worse? Yeah, they can. They can get a lot worse. Take it from someone that's watched Ouija Shark 2 coming soon from our friends at Wild Eye. And has watched Sharkensaw State Prison and Sharks of the Corn and Raiders of the Lost Shark. I've seen a lot of bad shark movies. Sharks of the Corn really is it. They're sky sharks that live above a corn maze. And kind of like, that's the only thing it's like Children of the Corn. I was like, boy.
Sky sharks.
Yeah. Sky shark. There is sky sharks too with the Nazi sharks. There's that.
I mean, in these movies, since you've seen them, I feel like I can ask you this. In the movie with sky sharks in it, are we living in a world where sky sharks are normal? Or
no,
is it
they're an amazing thing that happens where people are like, you know, they're shocked.
Is it the first time this is happening in this movie, or has it happened before in this
movie? It is the first time. It's a whole new thing for people to get their heads around.
Wow.
In sky sharks. It is. Imagine, you know, if you saw a shark. We had one of those inflatable, you know, those helium kind of remote control things. We had a helium remote control shark. I got to tell you, it was really disconcerting for people in meetings at my old office that a shark would just roll into their office. It's imagine if it was alive and could swim. How does it propel itself? None of these things. Like I want to know the science. So.
Speaking of that, I kept thinking about that with the creature from Blood Beach, about how it was pulling these people under the sand, but it was taking their bodies to a lair. Yeah. So what was happening there?
Was it keeping food for the winter? And what does the creature do when off season? I guess maybe that's why it picks California then, like an East Coast kind of place. You know what I mean? Like once the season's up.
Yeah, it keeps acting like, well, the people in this movie are acting like this is the first time they've encountered
Yeah.
the monster. So where did the monster come from? Like, why did this happen all of a sudden?
He's dry aging the meat. Sean said, was making a charcuterie board of that woman's head. Yeah, I think maybe the disappearances, it's handled its disappearances in a way in the past where no one noticed. Just like, was it just getting homeless people, or was it, do you know what I mean? Was it keeping a low profile? And after a while, just its appetites grew mad with, as it grew. I mean,
Well, that's a reasonable explanation.
Some of these movies are like an old Marvel comic. You got to write your own thing and get a no prize for them. Marvel used to give you a no prize if you answered things. My favorite Marvel answer was one issue. Jack Kirby forgot to draw a parachute on Captain America, and the person that won a no prize said, "Well, Captain America's so tough he doesn't need a parachute. He can just jump out of a plane." And I was like, "Okay, that's a pretty good explanation." And that's how you win an award. So for this, you got to do some of that stuff too. Yeah, like how does that layer remain intact? How's that woman's head look still like a woman's head? It's been down there, we think, for a while. There's a lot to get your mind around here.
It was all made up of old rotting boards, the lair.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. I mean, this creature, they did show numerous shots of that area, and the boards were groaning. So apparently this thing had some weight, and it was like weighing down the boards. But I just don't understand how it could crawl under the sand like that. Maybe I should have linked to the extended cut, because in the extended cut, there are some, if you didn't see the previous segment, this movie has a different version that surfaced, I guess, on the internet, but maybe it was on home video. The Japanese home video, I think, had footage inserted from another movie of victims being pulled down from somewhere up above, but cutting it into Blood Beach, it made it look like this creature was pulling them down into tunnels that were under the beach.
See, that's kind of in my head. This creature had like Dig Dug like tunnels, right? Like when you're playing Dig Dug for a while, how the tunnels look. Also, kind of like had like whack-a-mole, reverse whack-a-mole holes that it could stick its grabbers through and come up and get people. Like it had created like this network of tunnels to get the food at once.
Yeah, this is a good point, Mike Justice, because it did hang up some of the bodies, and it at least had the wherewithal and the ability, the physical ability, to carry these people to one place and stack the bodies all up, apparently in the ceiling. And like Mike noted, that one body just kind of like swung down like Halloween. So
yeah,
maybe they saw Halloween also.
Did it maybe have... This is going deep. Did it maybe have an army of familiars that fed this nightmarish vampire?
It was Ruth Buzzy.
It was, and maybe she was it, and she's the one that stacked up the food for it, because it's going to get somewhat colder, even though it's California, right? And not as many tourists will be at the beach. So does it need to keep, as squirrels keep nuts for the winter? Will this happen, or does it go into hibernation until people come back out? I demand a long, like overly detailed breakdown of this monster, what it looks like, why it looks like. Does it have a name? What do we need to know?
I think Blood Beach 2 could be about, it should have been one of those movies that begins right where the previous one ended, like Halloween 2.
Yeah.
And it could have been John Saxon returning. Now he has to fight an entire army of Blood Beach monsters.
Yeah. What would be the subhead for Life's a Beach? Blood Beach 2, Life's a Blood Beach. Blood Beach 2.
That's as good as any.
Yeah, if you're wearing shoes, you're overdressed.
Blood Beach 2, this time it's personal.
Oh, well, yeah. That's the best one. Blood Beach 2, Beach Blanket Boogaloo is the one that I would pick.
I like that one.
What if we did Beach Blanket Bingo, Blood Beach Blanket Bingo, and we combined the beach movie with, the Frankie and Annette style beach movie. Yeah, Blood Beach 2, Blood Beach 2, Your Sister is a Blood Beach, I think is another good one.
The bitch is back.
The bitch is back.
Alien 3.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. Lee asked, did anyone think of a good name? Exodore is a good one. Beachy is mine. That's the cute name. If they had to make him into a mascot.
I like that, Beachy.
Beachy. Not spelled like beachy gum, but like with a Y, like beachy.
At the end of this movie, there's almost a carnival going on when they're waiting for the monster to come back to its lair, which is somehow turned into a community event. And it almost looked like there was a food truck there, too, because John Saxon and Burt Young get coffee there or something.
Yeah.
But there was, a sort of a party-like atmosphere going on.
And that guy's like, real men don't believe in monsters. Like, I think we've proven there is something beneath. Like, this isn't like a theoretical thing that a monster's here. Like, this isn't like a tough guy debate at this point. There is a monster, and it's not about who's tough, But why would you defund all these beach cops? Why would you go down there with no backup? Be like, you know what? I'm going to go under the bridge downtown and see what's going on.
Mariana Hill went down on her own, and so did David Huffman.
Yeah. Why would you go down there? I love the way that the old woman in the beginning goes down on the beach because, like, it's like literally in like sections where it's like knees, handsies and kneesies. It's like knees, and then just gradually, just piece by piece, and then like by the time the guy realizes she needs help, she's gone. Becca was.
That's how that damn thing worked. I mean, it was an efficient beach vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
Specifically, I want to know why there weren't tunnels, like visible, hills. When a mole moves around under the ground, you can kind of see where it was. Why did this creature? It seemed to be coming from even deeper than the just below the surface.
Yeah. That's why I think it just has out these tentacles all the time and has built these system of dug like tunnels. That's my theory. That's how I see it, and it looks very Deadly Spawnish in my world. Like I think that's what it should look like.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad thing.
Lee also brings up that John Saxon said the tagline out loud in the movie. If you're anything like me, anytime someone mentions the name of the movie within the movie or the tagline, it's like Pee-wee's secret word. You got to go crazy. You know what I mean?
There should have been plushies of Beachy at that party that was going on before they blew him up.
And hats. And like it should have been a scene like Yeti, Giant of the 20th Century, where somehow
Kiss Me Beachy.
Kiss Me Beachy. Everybody's made merch in the day that this creature has appeared, and they're ready. He's already made a fish comb for the human that he is either too big or nearly the same size as, depending on what time in the movie you're in.
You know how those women all had on T-shirts with hands coming over their boobs and Yeti? Yeah. The Beachy shirts would have like Venus flytraps over their boobs.
Here. Just right there. There's a hat with just like things coming off it.
Beachy arms.
Beachy arms. My mom got eaten by Beachy. I went to the beach and didn't meet Beachy. I mean,
what happened to Beachy after this movie?
I think Robert Stack went and did a little thing about him. There were 5 people disappeared from this beach, and then the Unsolved Mysteries thing played behind Beachy. Just said that's what he did.
The music from this movie was composed by Gil Malay.
Yeah.
Or Jill. I'm not Gil, I guess is how you would say his name.
Speaking of the music, that adult, very white adult nightclub. It seems like a place my parents would go, right? Or they're like, we're going to go up to Cranberry to the nightclub. You kids, we'll stay with your grandmother. And that feels like they would listen to. It was very, like you said, it was like almost sub Fleetwood Mac. It was like,
it was super white.
They had, that group had at least one Fleetwood Mac cover, right? Like maybe even pre-rumors. And they're like, we got this one. And You know. By the way, on Tubi, there's a documentary about Rumors that I watched last night about the making of Rumors, and they brought everybody back together for it. Everybody in that band's fucking crazy. I love them though, you know, but it's just like it's a movie. It's an album about cheaters for cheaters, and it was a really good record. It's very of the '70s. I think that that band in that nightclub also probably did "Rendezvous," the Pina Colada song. You know, like they did a nice duet of it.
Oh,
And
Escape.
Escape, yeah. They wrote their own ending too, like where they changed it up just a little tiny bit because they were like, you know, like a duo singer kind of thing. I want to
There
make
had to be
movie.
a male and female part. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to make a movie just about them. Like it's like, wait, you want to make a movie about the two side characters from Blood Beach? Yeah, because I want to get on that eventual Arrow DVD, and that would be like a side, you know, so make a side short.
Well, yeah, that'd be an interesting remake. You just remake the original film from the perspective of the nightclub singers, and it'll be all about their careers and how they fought to build a career for themselves in this resort community, and then Beachy comes along and messes it all up, and it's all about their moment of redemption. Where at the Beachy party at the end of the movie, where they're going to blow them up, they perform their cover of Fleetwood Mac's Rumors in order from start to finish.
Yeah, I think that that's really amazing. I think
it could work.
I think so too. And there's a whole montage scene of the guy learning how to do that Lindsey Buckingham finger picking, which is so difficult.
I love Sad Eyes, Vince Cornelius.
Yeah. Bill and I sang a lot of 70s songs during this every time. A song sounded slightly like a 70s song. So there's a lot of good FM gold played during this movie.
I was listening sharply for Bob Welch and didn't hear him.
Yeah. Mike also mentioned the style cinematography in Blood Beach is very Vaseline on the lens. And yeah.
Thank you, Mike Justice.
Yeah.
That is exactly how I felt.
She said, why is this beach so foggy? And it's Vaseline on the lens. It seems like a very fun. But, you know, if you drive just a little more up the coast, there's another town that's that a fog. And you go further up, and you can go visit the Mask Factory, and you know, see the what are some of the gags there? The chainsaw. I like that one part where,
the rubber chainsaw, the exploding toilet seat, or something.
Yeah, and they
sticky
tell you
toilet paper.
Like, yeah, don't you? He made exploding toilet paper.
What is sticky toilet paper? I want to
understand. Sticky toilet paper. Yeah, it sticks to your ass. That's not even a gag gift. That's like napalm. Like, why would you do that to somebody?
How could you get it to not stick to their fingers before they used it on their ass?
Like double-sided tape. He made like the not to talk about Halloween 3 too much, but just for a second, right?
You can talk about it. It's your show.
I love it, right? And I think it's great. But the plan at the heart of it is, at best, a strange plan.
It's bullshit, isn't it?
It's bullshit. Okay, wait. They had the wherewithal to steal part of Stonehenge. Okay? Cool. That takes a lot, right? Like, there's security guards. There's a lot of people. Yeah. Okay. Is Conal Cochran eternal? Like, because he remembers the last Samhain. Not pronounced Samhain, Samhain, but whatever.
Yes,
he remembers
please.
The last Samhain. He knows about it. And, the hills run red with sacrifice. And the fires. I almost said that like Friday 13th, kind of like, this place, this Stonehenge. Anyway,
this place, this factory.
He's this factory. These robots. He's built robot people, right? Also, okay, cool. I can go with that. His plan is just very It's very a Cobra Commander plan. Very much, right?
It seems like overkill at best to like create this whole life for yourself, populated by robots, which probably took him a long time to do. Yeah. All for what? All for this? Come on.
To fuck with children? And then he's like, he invented a laser good enough to shoot and take minuscule pieces of Stonehenge, put them on masks. The children will wear, not in the time zone that he's in right now because he's on the West Coast, right? And like, once it happens on the East Coast, someone's going to call him back, hey, a million kids' heads on the East Coast heads blew up. Don't play that one in Mountain Top.
Yeah.
And then probably
just don't do it.
Just don't do it. And they're like, they already know the plan, right? Or is this an East Coast, West Coast rap battle type thing? Is he just hate the East Coast? I would argue that. Then robots, and then also the wherewithal to make a robot of the girl that the young girl that sleeps with. Where would you like to sleep, Dr. Chalice? You know, where would you like me to sleep? There's a lot. There's a lot in how, and I love it. I love Halloween 3. But when you sit back and you think about it, you're like, this is a weird plan. In the same way the Blood Beach, what's the end game? Why is the monster there? Who is the monster for? No one really takes care of it. In fact, they make things worse. And the beach doesn't close at all throughout the entire time. Right up the coast, there's Santa Mira. Just as many problems, but at least there's a curfew and I guess a leader that outside of one or two homeless people, one homeless person that says it's a pretty shitty town and then gets killed for it.
The beach in Blood Beach is like the school in Pieces.
Yeah.
There's murder after murder there, and they never close it and say, you know what, maybe it's a good idea to just suspend everything that's going on at the school right now.
You know, I spent a good 10 minutes a day thinking about Pieces. Just on my drive, because I was thinking the beginning of Pieces feels a lot like the beginning of Deep Red, like with the kind of flashback and like the kind of Christmas thing in the beginning. Okay, I can get past that. Why is there a karate person in Pieces? I don't know. I still can't figure out why is tennis so important in Pieces. Like, it's a movie made by lunatics for lunatics. Like it really is. Like. Just like the fact that he's playing big band music super loud, like that marching band music over the speakers so they can't hear him kill someone with a chainsaw. I mean, that's a big plan. That takes a lot of thinking, right? And at the end, we're like, it's about a puzzle and also a body stitched up. Ready, I'm going to spoil Pieces, a 45-year-old movie for you. A body stitched up of a million pieces can just come back to life and destroy a guy's testicles. I mean, yeah.
In Pieces, it can.
It can. And you know what? The entire movie, you're led to believe that this kid is this capable hero. Also, he looks like the geek in any other movie, right? Like if this was Back to School, he'd be living with Rodney's kid. But in this movie, he scores repeatedly. And the cops, again, defund the Pieces cops. The cops in Pieces are like, you know what? This kid seems to know what's going on. Let's let him come. He's a suspect, but let's let him come along for this journey.
Yeah, and he's a suspect, but he's going to become part of the investigation.
Yeah.
And, of course, there is that scene at the end where his dick gets ripped off, and the director makes sure we know that he's got a pretty sizable dick because he shows it right there on camera.
Oh, yeah. So, and they're like,
foreshadowing.
You know how we should defeat this mass killer? I think a tennis pro cop undercover is the way to do it. You know,
we don't want it to be too obvious that she's law enforcement, because then that might actually make the killer stop killing people by saying, "Aha, the police are on to me."
Yeah. Instead, why not have a large amount of police show up, patrol the school, make a presence, and then, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not.
Don't let kids go swim in the pool house in the dark. That'd be a good place to start.
And also, and maybe stop classes. Like, there's been enough, like 1 or 2 murders, right? But these murders aren't just murders. These are killings by a deranged individual who is doing horrible things to people. Nobody was like, I don't want my kid to go to school there. Like, I know Paul Smith is just hanging out looking creepy and it's probably him, but let's just let him keep his chainsaw and just keep chopping up branches.
It wasn't Paul Smith. Thank you.
I know it wasn't Paul Smith. And I'm sorry for casting aspersions on. It's just, you know what? That's probably, but today, literally, it stopped me in my tracks. A good 10 minutes of thinking about Pieces. And I've seen it hundreds of times. The next time I see it, I'll go into it the same mindset. I'll be like, this time. I did that this time with Blood Beach. I'm like, this time I'm going to figure it out. I'm the stranger in the strange land, Giallo hero, ready to help the police solve things. Never works. I'm always left more baffled and loving it more too. Maybe I just like being confused.
Blood Beach is it's a very unique film, and it only has a 4.5 rating on IMDb. I don't understand that at all. Like, why would this movie only have a 4.5 on IMDb? I think it's a lot better than that.
There's a contingent of people that probably were like, I'm giving it a 1. Like, come on.
It is kind of brutal to take that hit at the end where you realize, oh, the monster doesn't look very convincing, and but I mean, it wasn't that bad, I guess.
Just yelled out that people, what did you say? People hate movies that they don't understand.
I guess, yeah. There's no immediate explanation for it.
Yeah, even at the end there, and it's like kind of like you come up with what you want, Hey, but you can do the same thing. Like Deep Red's another movie where I'm like, there's a lot in Deep Red where I'm like, what? Why did that lady die in the bathtub? Like outside, it's awesome. It's a great scene, and John Carpenter liked it too. Go figure. And why does that happen? And like, you know what? Fuck it. Who cares? Like, it's cool. That's my write off for any Giallo. It's like, yeah, but it was really cool when that happened.
It's just all about the experience.
It is.
So was Blood Beach. It was the kind of thing where you're just supposed to go with it, and maybe it'll take you on a journey. I do think that the journey that Blood Beach offers is a little meager. It's a lot to get through just to see a couple of monster scenes, and it never really pays off at the end, which is probably why people don't like it. But like we were talking about earlier, there's more to this movie than the monster. I really like the actors. I think it's reasonably well. I mean, we haven't gotten a great transfer of this for home video yet. That's what I wanted to mention. The video that I linked to, I think, was a VHS rip, which was presented open matte, and you could tell that it wasn't supposed to be presented that way because you could see the boom mic in a whole bunch of scenes, especially the scene.
If they had gotten to it and it looked like The Thing, you know what I mean? Like that level of like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? Like, I think people would have loved this movie.
Oh yeah,
in a different way.
If the monster would have paid off, yeah, it would have made a very big difference. But it just sort of didn't. It didn't really look all that convincing, and it wasn't just active enough to really generate an action sequence of any kind at the end. There's no climax to the film.
No,
nobody ever faces off. John Saxon doesn't even see it.
This would be a last movie for a long late night drive, and kind of like, let's just glide out to the end of the night. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a good feel, a good hang to finish out your driving experience.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't get the hate for Blood Beach.
I agree with you. I don't get the hate at all. Hey, you want to see what came in the mail this week? I only got 2 movies.
Yes.
First up from Kino, we got Steel Justice with Martin Kove as the hero in it. What? Yeah, it's a kind of commando drug run and Vietnamese mafia murders his best friend. Cecil Ward's in it too, and Ronnie Cox and Bernie Casey. What? And it's directed by Robert Boris, who did Electric Glide in Blue, which is a really good movie. Somehow he did Steel Justice too. Anyway, second one. This is from Blue Underground. God Told Me to 4K. Yeah. Speaking of a movie that's real fucking weird, I watched this with Blood Beach too. This is another movie that's just like, what? There's a lot of wildness. I love this movie, so super excited that this is finally coming out. So got those 2.
Yeah, God Told Me to is really way out there.
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
It's Andy Kaufman's first movie too. So,
that's true. Yeah, I always forget that he's in there.
I love that again. Talking about things that could never happen today. There is literally a scene of a cop shooting up a parade, and they have no permits. Larry Cohen just shot it, and it's like, what? It's great editing to put it together, but Larry Cohen's one of my favorite directors because like he takes these like really high concepts with no budget whatsoever, and then kind of makes movies that again are like kind of like Q is a great hang movie because it's like a lot of it's about Michael Moriarty being a thief and playing piano and just
Yeah.
and just him just acting and doing whatever he wants. And he also wrote it like 3 days because he was going to do Eye of the Jury and got kicked off it. And, well, I got to make another movie. I'm in New York, so I'll make this movie about a giant winged Aztec god who's eating people on top of buildings. I mean,
Siskel and Ebert both loved Q.
Q's great. Uh, there's so many Larry Cohen movies that are great. Even The Ambulance and his later movies, special effects, are all pretty good too. So I'm a big fan. Special effects has what's her name from Miss 45, and it's one of her few other movies. So
Zoe Lund.
yeah, so yeah, he did a lot of really really great stuff, and Bone is really good too, one of his older ones, and you know he was really good at coming up with a high concept, delivering it. And if you haven't seen King Cohen, the movie about his life and times, it's really good. He's an inspiring filmmaker to me. I saw Q as one of the first movies I rented as a kid, and it
Wow.
terrified me because totally not ready for heads to be eaten like that, bodies to be dumped, and just
Yeah.
and then suddenly it turns into a police procedural, and then it's real good, a great movie. So
Something I
yeah,
got into this week. Oh, was that everything that came in the mail?
yeah, that's everything that came in for me this week. Just a short week, but solid stuff though.
I got my Vinegar Syndrome box in the mail. I think I showed this stuff last week, but this week I actually got to sit down and watch a couple of the things. One of the things I watched was Scared to Death, which is a movie that I got to know on TV in the early 80s. It went straight to syndication, and I think they showed it as early as like 83 or 84 on TV. And it seemed kind of like too recent to be on TV to me when I first watched it. This is another sort of monster movie that came out in 1981. I think we mentioned that on the earlier segment. And it's a low budget film, definitely inspired by Alien a lot of ways. You can even see it in this ad where there's like some graded walkways and a creature coming at you down a dark hallway. And it looks a lot like the Giger inspired monster.
And that suit got used for Sinjanor, right? It's the same suit.
Yeah, I think it's the same. I mean, it would have to be.
Or
but
very similar.
I watched an interview with the director that's on a supplement on the Blu-ray. William Malone is the director's name, and he talked about how they made the suit because that was why he made the movie.
Yeah,
he was working for Dawn Post Studios as a mask maker, and he got the
Speaking
idea.
Of Halloween 3, they did the mask for Halloween 3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he knew he could make a monster. That he could make a reasonably good monster for his movie, so he just built a movie around a monster. Not high budgeted enough to set it in space, but he came up with ways to make the same sort of atmosphere happen in his film. It's really pretty good. I'm glad I bought it because it had been decades since I'd seen it. I didn't know
What's nice
what
to
it was
get all
gonna be
those
like.
extras to learn more about it too, because the Vinegar Syndrome does a great job at that.
Yeah. So it's another 1981 movie, and here is a sneak peek of the cover of the 1981 yearbook that's coming out. Oh, well, I'm going to have to change the cover date from June to July. June was wishful thinking, but July is going to happen.
What movie on this do you think I'm most excited about looking at these ads? Where did my eye?
Your eye went straight to Halloween 2.
No. Well, yeah, and then also bottom left corner, Rosemary's Killer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Maybe
AKA
maybe something from me about a Prowler related thing in this issue. Maybe. Who knows? We'll see.
There's lots of stuff from you in this issue, and
I went a little crazy on this one. I had fun this time. I love the Prowler is my favorite slasher. I will always say it because it is fucking disquieting because the violence in it is as real as a kid. It's very upsetting violence. It's just like, wow, this is.
It's a little gruesome, yeah.
Yeah, there's like knives going into chins, and it's like, it's some good Sabini stuff. On the site starting tomorrow is it's all Tough Girls Week in different forms, but a lot of Cynthia Rothrock movies, and Mimi Lesios, who was a wrestler before she made her own movies, and they're all really weird, very strange, and some Edwige Fenech movies, and some Black Emanuel movies, a whole bunch of different stuff. So super excited about that. I read this question to Mike, and I love this question. If Blood Beach happened in real life, do you think the characters would be over it by now? Or would they constantly be like, remember that monster was eating people under the beach 40 years ago? I think they would all go to a karaoke bar on Halloween and talk about bird calls and then say, Blood Beach dies tonight.
Then we'd have to sit through Blood Beach 2018, Blood Beach Kills, and Blood Beach Ends.
Can you imagine in another, what do you call it, reality? There's a reality where Blood Beach was more successful.
Oh, Sam cut out for a second.
Yeah.
There he is.
Yeah, there's a reality where Blood Beach was successful, and people are like, I don't want another fucking Blood Beach. We watched 8 of them, Blood Beach H2O, or whatever, right? The water on the beach, all these,
Saying it as H2O would make sense with Blood Beach. It would be like when Beachy goes into the water.
Beachy goes to New York, like just all these things, and people are like, I don't like it.
Beachy versus Splash.
Yeah. Beachy, someone said before, Beachy Beaches with Bette Midler, Blood Beaches. Yeah, there's a lot.
Sorry, I missed that. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, we should probably say before everybody goes to bed, next week's movies.
Yes, I was just thinking.
One of them. One of them is Hercules, which is directed by Lewis Coates, who is really Luigi Cozy. And holy shit, this movie's nuts. If you haven't seen it, I'm going to spoil one thing about it, and it won't spoil the movie. It'll make you want to see it. A bear gets punched into fucking space in the first 5 minutes of the movie, which any other movie, you're like, maybe that's the most wild thing that happens in your movie. Nope, it's not. If you saw Star Crash and you're like, boy, these monsters look janky, get ready, because this movie has clockwork monsters and claymation, and it looks like it was made in the 50s. It was made in the 80s. It's a canon movie, and Lou Ferrigno's in it, and oh, man. And the second movie, which is Austin's pick, is Penitentiary 3, which is a prison boxing movie that gets it's real weird. Only canon can make it. Was the third Leon Isaac Kennedy boxing movie, or fourth. That let me think. They just did Penitentiary 2 and 3, I think. Austin will set me straight next week, but man, it is something. There's a small person that is a killing machine that lives inside this jail. None of it is. If you're coming next week and you're like, I don't like when Sam and Bill play problematic movies. Penitentiary 3 is the very definition of it. There's a lot of really wrong stuff in it. Also, all the boxing in it looks like Popeye movies. Like there are like literally Popeye punches, wind up punches, jumping off the ropes punches. It's pretty awesome. So excited. Hercules, both movies wild, goofy, testosterone driven.
Both of them canon films, because our special guest next weekend will be
Austin Trunick, who wrote the Canon Film Guide. Volume 2 is out now. Volume 1's also out. Let me tell you, I'll show next week on the show. The first one was like 800 pages. The second one is like 1,600 pages. When it came back, I said, that book is gigantic. And I said, I'm going to read it in like a week. I am really I'm learning something on every page. It's great. And then the third one, supposedly, he said, is going to be the end of kind of canon, as well as like almost he's found about 400 movies that they said they were going to make and didn't make. And there's some really wild ones. I'm sure he'll pull out some of the posters and show us, and press books that he has the 86 press book, which has 750 movies in it. Most studios don't have 750 movies to release in a year. Canon put out 60 movies. I think they get 84. Most studios put out 6. They also didn't get. My favorite thing in the book that he says is like when most studios cared about quality, Canon did not care because the goal was to sell a movie for $5 million, make it for $1 million. You already made $4 million. Even if nobody ever comes and sees it, you've already made your money. The problem got to be once they started making bigger movies, you know, like Life Force is one of the first really big ones. They put, I think, 21 million, and that's the longest a Canon movie ever shot. Most of their movies were shot in a couple weeks, much less, you know, Tobe Hooper got a lot of time. But also, like, if you ever wonder, Austin will talk about next week. If you ever think that Chainsaw 3, they are way better. Any studios like Empire, anyone after them was trying to be Canon. But I think the amazing thing is like when Chainsaw 3, like Tobe Hooper was never supposed to direct it. He was just going to produce it. And they ran out of time. They had like they literally finished shooting it on July 4th weekend and released it in theaters the first week of August. That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. Like they shot they were shooting around the clock for the last week. Everybody was sick. Everybody had pneumonia. And they were shooting with multiple crews. And Canon had sent like a hatchet man to make sure that the movie got finished because they were upset. Because Tobe Hooper had a tendency to get lost and just keep shooting like weird scenes on his own. They're like, we got to finish this movie. A movie that he really didn't want to make for a long time. So, yeah. So if you have any questions about Canon movies, Austin will definitely be able to answer it. And it's going to be fun to have him on. And Penitentiary 3's, you don't got to watch either of the other ones. Mr. T's in the second one. It's great. The first one's great. None of them exist in our reality. The first one's kind of maybe a little bit by the third one. I don't know what's going on in it. I love it, but it's real wild. So excited about that. And,
it's going to be really great to have Austin on. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah.
I hope all of you will come back and join us.
He found, while he was in town, a single for the themes of the Eddie Rabbit theme song for Over the Top. In its original sleeve. Like, did fate put it there for him to find?
At Jerry's?
At Uniontown, he found it in a antique store. It was just sitting there when he got there, yeah. Because I said to Jerry's, he's like, I didn't get time. But yeah, he stayed in the house where they shot Maria's Lovers, a Canon movie, with Natasha Kinski and Robert Mitchum. So it's a bed and breakfast now. And he stayed overnight and got tons of pictures. He was all through Brownsville shooting stuff while he was here. So it's pretty cool. It's it's as weird as Riccio. It doesn't have the geysers of gore that Riccio has, but it's pretty wild. So I think you'll dig it. But yeah, I'm excited for that. And then also the last week of July, another sneak preview is Arnold Schwarzenegger week. It's Arnold's going to be 75, so I watched Pumping Iron today, Bill, which I think everybody should watch. What a wild movie. There's a scene where Arnold literally, what do you call it? Just goes to breakfast at Lou Ferrigno and just abuses him for like 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
It's wild where he's like, just like mind fucking him. You feel so bad for Lou Ferrigno, but also, you know, I love Arnold, so it's pretty great. So thanks everybody for coming out. Sorry I missed the first segment, but I was really excited that Jen was here, and I think she'll definitely be back. It'll be fun.
Yeah, many thanks to Jennifer Upton for joining us on tonight's program, and make sure you come back next weekend. It's another double feature. We're going to be doing double features for a while because I don't have to work Saturdays for a while.
Oh, that's
until
awesome.
the fall. So, well, as long as Sam can do it, we'll be on.
Yeah.
And one other thing I wanted to mention, we're going to be on Fright Lounge tomorrow.
Yeah. Is that live or memory?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It is live. For those of you who, I know a couple people out there joined us. Darren was there. Thank you, Darren. And a couple other familiar faces. You can follow Fright Lounge on Facebook, and that's where we'll be broadcasting live. Rigor from Retro, not Retro Movie Love Podcast. Then Is Now Podcast. Rigor, he's been on the show here. He and I do Fright Lounge, and Sam's going to be on the show. We're going to talk about Mexican horror films. or Mexican films in general.
Yeah,
I think so. That's right up Sam's alley.
Yeah, I'm really excited because it's hard though. Because it's like, man, there's so much to talk about. You know, in the time we have, do we talk about just Santa movies? Do we talk about Luis Buñuel? Do we talk about? By the way, that's my favorite thing that happened this week. Is someone's review of the last Thor movie said the beginning of this movie felt like a Buñuel or Jodorowsky movie, and why couldn't it stay like that the entire movie? I'm like, because it's a fucking Marvel movie that was made for kids. Nobody wants to see a theater of cruelty movie in your summer blockbuster. So just get over yourself, dude. But yeah, probably be talking. Yeah, Ship of Monsters definitely. A lot of movies where there's real surgery in it. Rene Cardona movies with apes and female wrestlers. The Batwoman. Someone sent me this week. Have you ever seen this Batwoman movie? I'm like, have I? Yeah.
You live it every day.
Oh, I have it on Blu. I have multiple copies of it. I got it on Blu-ray. I got it beamed into my skull. So yeah, a lot of stuff to talk. That'll be really fun. And yeah, and super excited for next week. The week after that, you may have seen the weeks to come. The trailers are not accidents. Party Line is coming.
Party Line. Ben Sherritt's going to be back on the show with us for that one.
Speaking of, Ben just auctioned off a ton of really cool Canon stuff. Some like outfits from movies and a jacket from Masters of the Universe that the makeup crew or the costume designer wore. And so he's had some pretty cool stuff that he's been putting up, that he writes for the auction house. So yeah, but I'm really excited. Party Line. I'm bonkers excited about watching with everybody.
That was Ben's personal pick for that show, so you can look forward to that.
That's my favorite. Like whenever I post up, Ben's like, "I can't believe that you like this movie." I thought I was. I'm like, no, it's.
Boy, he needs to hang around us a little longer.
That's what I told him. Like, if you like upsetting movies, I mean, come on down. Yeah. So.
All right. So have a good night, everyone. Be well, be safe. Come back next weekend and hang out with us on the Drive-In ASYLUM double feature. And we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian. Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian.